Okay, whatever. So we got to, the bracha at the top of the Rekarat al Hamayim, which is what we discussed, this idea of changing tack a little bit. The first bracha is there to teach us how to do what we're supposed to do properly. The second set of brachas is teaching us more along the lines of how to be a believing Jew. So the bracha after Rekarat al Hamayim, which is Kotzaki, God gave me everything that I need. We spoke about that bracha. It's a very beautiful bracha. It's a very powerful bracha. And then we say Ameichin mitzadei gaveh, who firms man's footsteps. Now, what does that mean? Firming man's foot. Who has firm footsteps? That was a question, just in case anybody was unsure. Normally, when I ask a question, so my voice goes up a little bit at the end of the sentence. That's the accepted norm. So perhaps you weren't catching that. I'll just do it again. Yeah. So Ameichin mitzadei gaveh, who has firm footsteps?
One who wears shoes.
One who wears shoes.
Yeah. Somebody that follows the Torah, mitzvahs and everything.
Okay, good. You're being very frum right now. Just, without being, Moshe, okay, you're without. You're 100% right. But before we get to keeping Torah mitzvahs, in general, who's got firm footsteps? Somebody who knows exactly what he needs to do, right?
Nike.
I agree.
Well, you're really bouncing from one end to the other over here. This is.
You didn't take the other one. Let me go.
Let's just do it, shall we? Somebody who knows what's required of them is somebody who has firm footsteps, right? When you don't have firm footsteps, because you're unsure about what you need to be doing. Which means that over here, somebody who knows that God has given everything that he needs now has no doubts about the direction that he needs to be going in. Okay, and the bracha after that is Oize Yisrael B'Gvura, who girds Israel with strength. Now I don't know what a gird is. It's kind of one of these strange biblical translation words.
It's sort of like a girdle.
I guess so, right?
Another strange translated word.
No, that's just a strange thing altogether,
okay.
Actually. Interesting. Hasidim wear a gartel. That black belt that they wear when they daven. You didn't know these Hasidim had a black belt, right? You should next time be more careful because they might turn around and give you they've all got black belts in origami. You know that?
The karate master.
No, not karate, origami. Yeah, they'll turn you into a little boat and every country's got its own form of self-defense. You know what? In America, you know what the national self-defense is?
What?
Sasumi. Sasumi, yeah.
It's a popular one in New York.
Okay, I tell you, I was trying to get some kind of reaction out of Scott, but he's got the biscuits now, so we've lost him.
Yep.
Beat me up, Scotty. Oize Yisrael B'Gvura, who girds Israel with strength. Now, again, I don't know what a gird is, but whatever. It's who gives Israel strength. What is the pshat of gird? I mean, gird, I suppose, is something which surrounds you, right? A girdle is something which surrounds you. A gartel is a belt. A belt is something which goes around you. I mean, if you're my size, then sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. What's the pshat? Strength over here. We're not talking about physical strength over here. We're talking about spiritual strength. Right? Hameichin mitzadei gaveh is somebody who's got firm footsteps and somebody who knows what's required of him. So, Oize Yisrael B'Gvura, Kodesh Baruch Hu will give you the strength required in order for you to be able to achieve what you need to achieve. Right? It's interesting that there were two people living in a place called Dvinsk. Dvinsk in Eastern Europe. There were two enormous scholars that were living there at the same time. One was Rav Meir Simcha, who was the author of the Or Sameach, who you may have heard of. Before the Or Sameach became a yeshiva, he was a person, and he was Rav Meir Simcha. And there was somebody called the Rogatchover Gaon, who was possibly the greatest scholar who lived in that generation. We're talking about pre-Second World War, and they lived in Dvinsk together, and it was considered to be one of the centers of Torah, novel Torah thoughts that were coming out was Dvinsk. And when Rav Meir Simcha passed away, the Rogatchover Gaon gave a hesped, he gave a eulogy, and he said over there that Rav Meir Simcha said, when people get into danger, very often they can do things that they normally wouldn't be able to do physically. So, right, if somebody's trapped under an enormous log or something, people all of a sudden they're filled with the most incredible adrenaline, and they can lift the log up even though normally they wouldn't be able to do it. See little people lifting up cars when people are caught underneath. It's a concept of adrenaline, the same way there's physical adrenaline, there's spiritual adrenaline. And the Rogatchover Gaon said that the Rav Meir Simcha, when he learned Torah, his Torah learning was with that incredible sense of adrenaline, spiritual adrenaline, that he could achieve the most incredible things and he could understand the most incredible things through allowing himself to have that spiritual adrenaline affect him. And that's really Oize Yisrael B'Gvura. You don't have to be concerned if you've got a sense of purpose and you know what it is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from you. So you'll do whatever it is. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give you whatever you need in order for you to be able to achieve what it is that you want to do.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
So I didn't get the hesped.
Huh?
What was the hesped?
The hesped was that Rav Meir Simcha managed to achieve things in his life that most people are not capable of doing. And the Rogatchover said that it's this incredible connection that he had with learning Torah that filled him with that adrenaline that made him be able to learn. He learned for hours and hours. His concentration was unbelievable. His wife Rav Meir Simcha's wife told over the most incredible stories about her husband. In Eastern Europe, in the houses had very high ceilings. The rooms had very high ceilings. And Rav Meir Simcha had a study that had floor-to-ceiling shelving with svarim, with books all over the place. And in order to be able to get to the books on the higher levels, there was a ladder. You put the ladder against wherever you wanted to do. You climb up and take down whatever you needed. And she said there were a few times that she went into the study to speak to her husband, and she found him hanging on the top of the ladder. He'd got up to take a sefer down, and he didn't have the patience to wait until he got down to the bottom before he started learning it. And he started learning this sefer hanging onto this ladder with like one arm and half a leg or something. And she said she was of the opinion on many occasions that her husband needed to bench gomer, which is a special bracha you make when you've been in a position of danger, right? You've been in a dangerous situation, because she said he went up these ladders and stayed up there. And who knows what would have happened if he would have just let go for a moment. He would have fallen, he would have broken who knows what, which I thought was an interesting story. But looking around the room, apparently it's not that interesting to other people.
Very interesting.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Good, okay. Oize Yisrael B'Gvura, God girds us with strength. Pardon?
What's a ladder? Maybe that's the problem.
Well, ladder. It's a thing that ladies get in their stockings, I believe.
Jesus Ems?
No, that's from Ger. That's the Ger Rebbe, the second Ger Rebbe. Rav Meir Simcha was the Or Sameach and the Meshech Chochmah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us the strength that we need. The 6-Day War, 1967, over here, was considered by everybody to be a miraculous war. There was no rational, logical explanation why there should have been the most incredible, the success that took place on the battlefields, the amount of land that was captured during the 6-Day War was enormous, and the reunification of Yerushalayim. It was the most extraordinary time. And everybody recognized that everyone recognized that it was a time of miracles. Yeah. What is less known is that after the 6-Day War, there was a run over here in Israel. There was a run on tefillin. Believe it or not, they ran out of tefillin, and they had to airlift tefillin in from America because people, everybody just knew that it was a miracle. If God's making miracles, then maybe we should do something in return. And people started putting on tefillin, whatever. It didn't last for too long, of course, that goes without saying. But that's the kind of Oize Yisrael B'Gvura that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us the strength that we need, that's for sure. Mentioning tefillin, of course, that's going to bring us on to the next bracha. That's going to bring us on to the next bracha, which is Oite Yisrael B'Sifara. Huh?
It said we have one about unicorns.
Oite Yisrael B'Sifara is who crowns Israel with splendor.
Oh, so unicorns.
Unicorns, right?
Unicorns.
And I'm sure the feelings are quite mutual. Oite Yisrael B'Sifara, what is that? What are we talking about over here? We're talking about the mitzvah of tefillin, Really, it's talking about tefillin shorosh, which is the tefillin that one places on one's head,
Become a unicorn.
not to be mistaken for a mythical animal that may or may not have existed at some point during history. The wearing tefillin... Huh?
We had to use
says
one
in
to
the
make the
Gemara.
mishkan.
Says over here in the Chumash.
Tarshish, it doesn't say unicorn anywhere.
Right.
It says that a tarshish was a multicolored animal, right?
Was
Which had a horn in the middle of its head.
Yeah.
Was that a unicorn? I mean,
That is definitely.
maybe it was.
Pretty much
It might.
described the
If
unicorn.
Yeah, you did.
let me finish over here. Whoa! I never realised that unicorns are even more emotive than vegetarianism. This is incredible, huh? Look at this. I think it's the Tiferet Yisrael, if my memory serves me correct, who says that the Tarshish, which is mentioned in the Torah, in the building of the Mishkan, that skin was used to cover, it was one of the coverings, that the Tiferet Yisrael says that a Tarshish was a giraffe.
Tachash, no?
Tachash, I'm sorry, is that, what did I say, Tarshish?
Yeah.
Oh, Tarshish is a one of the stones in the, I'm sorry, Tachash. That the Tachash is a giraffe, bless you. Again, it's certainly possible, because the giraffe has got a beautiful skin. The giraffe also has a knob on its forehead where the zoologists imagine where a horn probably used to be, and it's not there anymore, but it's got like a bump in its head. What was it? I don't know. You know, maybe it was a unicorn. I don't know. I guess we've lost the unicorn.
Books called unicorn.
Well, what's the idea? Wearing your tefillin shorosh. Believe it or not, when you wear your tefillin shorosh, it's supposed to show your grandeur, right? Your spiritual. It's supposed to the spiritual dimension of who you are, and that's why really what he's talking about over here. Somebody who does the will of God, somebody who does what God wants them to do, is somebody who reflects God's majesty down here in the world, which means that, you know, if you want people to look at you and say, wow, this guy is really spiritual, you've got to, you know, this guy looks really holy, you've got to actually behave holy. Ben, don't look at me like that. I apologize. I didn't mean to say it quite like that, really. Ben has been angling to be holy now for months, but
Wouldn't it be better to be shalemly?
to be what?
Shalemly?
Shalemli, yeah, why not? Shalem, holy.
It's a pun. Shalem's complete, whole, like a hole in the ground. So rather than being a hole in the ground, you're complete. It's a bad pun.
I don't think so. I think it's awful. Anyway, Oitei Sabasora means that if we do what we're supposed to do, that you will radiate holiness. You got it?
Yes.
I feel it now.
Thank you, brother.
And then the next bracha, which is a penultimate bracha, and I just use that because I like using the word penultimate. I don't imagine anybody here really knows what it means.
think
Something
that
to do
you
with the writing
misused it.
implement. Huh?
I think you misused it because isn't it the last one?
No, the last one is the big one.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
thought that was a separate thing.
Yeah.
No.
We're like,
Stick with me. I'll teach you things.
Okay.
Hanoisen li'oyav koach, which means what? Who gives strength to the gives weary to the strength. Whatever, yeah, that's how I feel sometimes. Hanoisen li'oyav koach, who gives strength to the weary, right? So the idea over here is what? First of all, it's talking about God giving you strength, but there is another dimension over here as well, which is that you are now able to give strength to those who are weaker than you are. Here, we're going to take a look and see what it looks like, right? But I want to go back to the beginning for a moment. We've got a sequence over here, right? A sequence of brachas over here, which need to be gone through to understand. I'm going to go through them one by one in order to understand where it is that we've reached since the beginning of all of this. We started off by Lavchin ben Yom ben Laila, that we only know the difference between good and bad. We're not even Jewish right now. And then Shelo Asani Goy was we've become Jewish. Shelo Asani Oved, we're free to do what we're supposed to do. Shelo Asani Isha, we have lots of mitzvahs to do. Poker Chivrim, we open our eyes to be able to do the mitzvahs. Hamalbish arumim, that we get ourselves dressed in the mitzvahs, right? It's not enough just to know about them, we've got to do them as well. Matir asorim, we can now break away the bounds, the things that are tying us down to the physical world. Zokef kfufim, now we can stand up straight. That takes care of the doing part of things. And then we get into the Rokaret Alamayim, which was that bracha that's going to move us into the world of belief, that we're going to be believing Jews, the idea of God sustaining the world every moment of the day. And then Shasali Kodsarki, that if I know that, then I know that God's given me everything that I need in order for me to be able to do what I need to do here in this world. Hameichim Atzadik Gover, I now have a sense of purpose, I've got firm footsteps, I know where I'm going. Oize Yisod Bigvur, God will give you the strength you need in order to be able to do what you need to do. Oite Yisod B'Sifora, you're now beginning to radiate a certain sense of spirituality, a certain sense of righteousness by doing what God wants you to do. And then, if you do that, you're now able to give to people who have got less than you. Give strength to people that have less than you've got.
What was the one that you just talked about?
Huh?
What was that one?
Oh,
to give strength to the weary.
give strength to the weary, which means like this. The most incredible idea. First of all, before we go any further, let's work this one out, right? The function of spiritual growth is to be able to give to others. You hear?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to say it again. The function of spiritual growth is to be able to give to others, which means the greater you become, and the more spiritual strength you've got, and the more spiritual and more holy you become, the greater is your responsibility to give to others who have got less than you've got. Right?
So you're saying I should stay at a low level? Just get a Red Bull.
So this week's Parsha.
Oh,
Did you get excited? Parsha's Parah. Did you go to Shul this Shabbos morning? They were laning your Parsha.
But I thought it was a half, not a bull.
Listen, Parah, the
Half is a
Parah.
baby. Bull's
No, Parah Duma. It's a Red Bull.
Really?
Red heifer.
Them. Oh.
You know the thing about a woman that you
I don't speak
complain.
Hebrew.
Why does she? Soccer.
Ginger cow.
What about us?
That would be like
Next
this.
week.
No, that's actually.
From the monks and me, the thing about this one.
Yeah, what do you say? Shh. Here, let's listen.
He says about how throughout the times when Israel's been in war, Hashem's given us the strength in that sense.
Good, very good. And we spoke about that whilst we weren't here. I mentioned the 6-day war as being a time of absolute, like modern day miracles. But the idea over here, really, I think it's an astonishing idea, which I think that some of you perhaps are not taking as seriously as you need to. But we're in a constant drive to become better and greater than we were, to become more spiritual than we were, to become more attached to God than we were before. But the reason for that is to be able to help people who are on a lower level than we are. And it's not some kind of being more spiritual and being more holy is not something which is like, here, I'm going to live in my self-contained bubble and I'm not going to do anything to anybody else. Quite the opposite. That the holier you become, the greater is your obligation to do what needs to be done. Yeah.
I don't know the way he phrased it, because of the whole idea of speaking to a lower level. Who are you to judge the level that somebody else is on? Who are you to say that someone's on a level to what you are? Good
question. Which means like this: in the growth process that the brachas represent, we're talking about a growth over here where you're able to because the previous bracha, you are now showing others that you've reached a certain spiritual level. They'll approach you. They'll come to you, right? So
in the morning brachas.
Yeah, that's what the morning brachas are coming to teach you. What your growth trajectory is supposed to be. What you're supposed to be pitching for, right? They say here. I'll give you an example. Rav Moshe Feinstein, who was considered to be, the halachic authority of the previous generation.
Thank you.
He was considered to be the halakhic authority of the previous generation.
Sorry.
The last words that he spoke when he was in the ambulance being taken to the hospital after he collapsed, the last words he spoke were in Yiddish. He said, "I have no more strength." Now, Rav Moshe Feinstein was not. He was a 5 foot tall. He wasn't a very strong. Not even 5. He wasn't a physically strong person at all, and yet he carried the whole of the Jewish people on his shoulders. That's how he looked. That's how he looked at it. His task over here, to being the halachic authority of the generation, was that he had to take care of all of these incredibly complex and complicated questions that came before him, and he had to have answers ready for everybody. And the last words that he said was that I have no more koyach, I have no more strength. Because really, what's he saying? That his function here in this world is to give to Klal Yisrael. When he reached a point where he had no more strength left to give, at that point he realized that he fulfilled his task over here, and those were the last words that he said before he left the world. Which means that the idea of having strength, the idea of utilizing strength, is not just for yourself, but to be able to give strength to other people as well. Yeah, it's a very beautiful idea. I'll tell you my all-time favorite story. There are lots and lots of stories that tell about Rav Moshe Feinstein. He was considered to be the most humble of people. He really was. He was absolutely brilliant, and he was considered to be, brilliant in every sphere of Jewish law and Judaism in general. And you could ask him about anything, but he was a very humble man. And my favorite story is that a father came to Rav Moshe Feinstein to complain that his son, the father's son, was not physically growing very well. He wasn't growing. Right? We're not going to talk about the crass insensitivity of coming to a man who's probably not even 5 foot tall, right? But Rav Moshe Feinstein, in just the way that he dealt with people, he gave the kid a little pinch on his cheek, and he told the father, "Don't you worry," he says, "I know some small people that became big."
Meaning him.
The most incredible idea in Judaism. Bigness is not measured in feet and inches. Bigness is measured in the kind of I don't know why I bother. I really don't.
Thank you, Rabbi Lauffer.
It's not measured in feet and inches. It's not measured in centimeters and meters.
Amen.
It's measured in how finely tuned your good characteristics are. That means that a person could be physically big, but maybe not so big, if you know what I mean.
It's a famous story, but remember with the car?
He caught his finger. Yeah, whatever. There are masses and masses of stories about Rav Moshe. He was once brought as an expert witness in a secular court of law in America. There was a fight going on between two people, and they needed an expert in Jewish law to come and give testimony. So they brought Rav Moshe Feinstein. He was introduced to the court as being the foremost halachic authority in the world. So the judge, he's sitting up there, and he leans forward and he says, "So tell me, Rabbi Feinstein," he says, "how does one become the foremost recognized expert in Jewish law in the world?" Good question, no? What did Rav Moshe Feinstein say? He said, "I'm not 100% sure." He said, "I think what happened is somebody came and asked me a question, and they were happy with the answer, and the next time they came back with their friend." Hear the way it works. It's really the most incredible thing, it really is.
Wow.
Right? You'd expect somebody to get up and say, "Oh, what makes me the foremost expert? Because I know I've been through the Shulchan Aruch, 150 times, and I know every single thing backwards and forwards." That's not what he said. The greater you are, the greater your humility is supposed to be. The greater you are, the greater your ability to be accessible to the Jewish people is supposed to be as well. It's an incredible thing here today. You can go to the greatest Jewish rabbis. You may have to stand in line in order to be, well, not to me, you don't have to stand in line, but you could go to the greatest Jewish rabbis, and you can stand in line to go and speak, and you can ask them whatever question you want to ask them, and they'll give you an answer.
That's why I asked all my questions.
Good for you. Excellent. Here, so that's the 14th bracha. We've gone from not even being Jewish to being able to give strength to everybody around us. So now let's have a look at the 15th bracha, which we would expect is going to be some incredible bracha that's got the most incredible, powerful kick
Again,
behind it.
Amazing about this one.
Hold on, right? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, hama'avih she'eino me'einai u'snumai me'afapai. So far, so good. The beginning of the bracha, which means that removing the sleep and removing the slumber, all the things that are stopping me from seeing God clearly, all of the things that are stopping me from connecting to God have been taken away, right? Now, there's no reason why I shouldn't be doing what God wants me to do. And then we say, so first of all, you should know that in prayer, whenever that phrase of evoking the avos, evoking the forefathers is used in any form, whether it's Hashem Elokeinu v'Elokei Avosenu, or whether it's Hashem, right? What does it say? Hashem Avram, Elokei Avram, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. That's the most famous one of all inside of the Amidah. Or whether it's Elokeinu v'Elokei Avosenu. It doesn't matter. Whenever you're going to use that phrase, you're about to ask for something which by yourself you don't have the merits to do. You don't have the merits to ask for it, which means you're going to tap into what's called schut avot, the merit of your forefathers. So let's have a see. What is it you're going to ask for? Here. That you should make the Torah regular inside of us. And you should adhere us to your mitzvahs. That we shouldn't sin, and that we shouldn't have a test, and we shouldn't be embarrassed, and the Yetzer Hara shouldn't get the better of us. You should keep us away from bad people, and from bad friends, because normally the last person to realize that a friend is bad is the person himself. You should attach us to the Yetzer HaTov and to good deeds. And we should serve you. Is anybody listening over here?
Yeah.
Do you hear something strange about this bracha?
It's repeating everything that we've previously said.
I would say that it's a very nice bracha, but what's it doing at the end? The end is the climax of everything, right? The previous bracha was anointing that we're going to give strength to the weary, right? And we've reached these incredible levels of spirituality. And the bracha over here sounds incredibly basic, doesn't it? Hold on a second. You should understand the question. It sounds incredibly basic, no? That the Torah should be a part of us, and that we shouldn't sin, and the Yetzer Hara shouldn't get the better of us, and that we should do what we're supposed to do. I don't know. Doesn't that sound? It sounds like something that should come at the beginning somewhere. No.
But you haven't earned those credits until you got into being able to give strength.
So what does it mean? You haven't earned those credits. What does that mean? What are you trying to say?
That why should God give you all this stuff, like the ability to learn Torah, or the ability to say, okay, that friend's probably not the best for me, or whatever, if you haven't worked to get there a little bit yourself. Good.
Okay, but so you've got to put your input into this, right? In order to be able to ask God for this, right? Okay, that's good. I think that there's something else over here as well, which transcends. It's even deeper. Yeah.
No, I was thinking about what he said, which was there's this thing to say for Mechilta, which was when there was a new king that was coming into place, and all the congregants of the all the people of the city came to ask the king, give us some new ideas, give us some new laws, and the king says, first accept my kingship, then I'll give you some laws.
Very nice. Okay, very nice. So what's the pshat? Pshat is like this. It's most incredible idea. It really is. Here, the first 14 brachas, you've achieved the most incredible things, right? You've gone from step to step to step, and you're moving up into the heavenly spheres, and you become more spiritual, and you become more righteous, and you become more pious, right? And the 15th bracha is teaching you what? That without God, you can't do it. Even the most basic things are beyond us unless God is going to help us do this. Right?
But it's not that throughout this bracha, you're basically saying, do you know what? God control my life. Do all the things that I can do myself.
That's exactly the pshat.
And that's what
which is what you were saying. This final bracha over here is a recognition that God is the king.
Then take away my free will from me completely.
in a certain sense.
Don't let me come into contact with people. Don't let me do this.
That's not what it's saying. No, absolutely not. What it's saying is, don't let me be influenced by the wrong people, right? And don't let me. We should be an influence on others, and not the other way around.
Well, for example, what does it say? Accustom me to study your Torah. Why are you asking God to do that? You should do that yourself.
Yeah, here, you want to know why? Here, listen. Why do we have to ask God to accustom us to learn His Torah? Why? Because Torah is something spiritual, and we are something physical. Right here. Where did you ask for it? Where?
The two brachas that we said before
Where?
about reciting the Torah, which we went up through. You know, when you talk Lasot b'divrei Torah.
Lasot b'divrei Torah, that I should be able to approach my Torah like somebody who approaches their business, right, with the same enthusiasm.
So what's the difference between
over
that and
here? Listen to the difference. Shetagilenu b'sorasecha, right? That it should be something that's regular inside of me. It's not talking over here about excitement. It's not talking over here about a passion. It's talking about a consistency that needs to exist within our lives. Torah needs to be a part of your life. Again, Rabbi said, listen to me carefully. It doesn't matter what you end up doing in your lives, right? It doesn't matter if you decide that you're going to stay and you're going to learn for as long as you can, or if you're going to go out to work, whatever it is, Torah's got to be an integral part of whatever you do, which means wherever you are and whatever you're doing, your day has to have Torah inside of it. That's what the bracha of Shetagilenu b'sorasecha means, that it should be regular inside of my life.
But that's a small thing. It's also talk about how we can't have the evil inclination. Surely evil inclination is a good thing, because all evil inclination.
The evil inclination is a great thing. What we're saying to God, no, read what it says. That's not what it says. Look. Let not the evil inclination dominate us. We're not saying to God, take away the evil inclination. We know that the evil inclination is good. We all know that, right? Because from the evil inclination, that's how we grow. You're challenged. When you're challenged and you overcome the challenge, you become greater than you were before. Without an evil inclination, there's no one to challenge you. But we don't want the evil inclination to win. So we're asking God, give me the strength that I can overcome what the evil inclination is trying to do for me. And that's why you should know pshat. Simple pshat. The Gemara says the greater you are, the greater your evil inclination is. You hear? You would have thought that as you grow greater and greater, your evil inclination will become smaller, no? Because isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Overwhelming.
So why are we saying distance yourself from all evil? If you're saying the greater you are, the more challenges you have.
No, here, look. You should distance me from an evil person.
That's got another issue in it. Why are you defining somebody as evil? What gives you the right to find that person as evil? What makes them an evil person?
Well, God can...
Here, you know what? I think that's exactly the pshat, isn't it? I don't know who's evil and who's not. So I'm saying to God, keep these people away from me. This guy's a nice guy, right? He comes over. He's nice. He's friendly. He's everything that you can imagine in a friend. But inside, he's not. There's something wrong inside. So we're saying to God, here, keep him away from me. There are lots and lots of burnt relationships where a person is bowled over by somebody else, right? But as they get to know them, they begin to realize that they're not good people. They're just not good people. They're really not.
Can I ask one more?
Yeah.
If we're saying here that God has everlasting love for every Jew, and he has abundant love for us, like a parent to a child, etc., why is it saying, grant us today an everyday case, crying and mercy in your eyes? Why should it's pre-assumed that we'll have that anyway? That's why we're asking for it.
Because we're asking for it because what we're saying is like this. It's not something that we can rely upon. We have to do what we're supposed to. Here, we have. But what is eternal love? Here, a boy say. What is love?
An emotion.
Okay, good. How do you show love?
The ability to give.
Right? Rav Dessler has a very, very important essay that he writes, and he says the word love, ahava, the words, the two letters in the middle are have. Have means to give. That one of the most basic dimensions of showing somebody that you love them is that you give to them. God has an abundant love for us. He gives. One second. God has an abundant love for us, and He gives us mitzvahs On top, I mean, he gives us life and he gives us everything, right? But he gives us mitzvahs, which is our ability to give back to him, to show God how we love him. Right? Now, most of the day, looking around this room, most of the day, the people over here, you're doing mitzvahs and you're doing them great, and your mamish, like you're in a state of like spiritual thrall, right? However, it could be that from time to time we don't do things exactly the way that we're supposed to do them. So we're asking God that he should find favor in our, right? What does it say? That you should look at us in a positive fashion, right? Rather than focus on the things that we're doing wrong. Focus on the things that we're doing right. That's really what chen is. Chen is the ability to look at somebody and to overlook the things that they're not doing so well in order to be able to look at the things that they are doing so well.